Guys, we got blue skies, but it's a bit chilly. Yeah, I snuck out here for a little while because I want to start getting some work done on the stick bow. And basically all that's happened to this stick so far, this piece of elm, is I've removed the bark, and I was able to get a pretty good look at it then, and I noticed the one limb was twisted out, so we heated that and I pulled that a little bit more into center. And the next step I want to kind of focus on is thinning these tips out, getting the profile, the shape of the tips. So once I get those established, I could kind of use them as a guide. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to lay out the tips and hopefully get working on them a little bit, thinning them out. I was going to use an adze. That would be about the quickest way, but I think I'll just try to, go as basic as possible. I got a little hand axe here. I have a couple of them in the bag. Just kind of an edge on it, and I'll probably just chop out the tips like that. Brought a couple of those out. Another one here. Just a really basic hand chopper axe thing, and that should help me thin out those tips. I don't know how far I'll be able to get. I probably won't be able to. We'll see how far it goes. Alright guys, so I'm just looking to get out for a little while, get a little work on this at a little bit at a time, enjoy the sun, and if you feel like it, you could watch along. So first thing, I'm trying to establish these tips, get them to shape. Probably come up 4 or 5 inches and start to fade in the tip. And what I want to do is make sure that this tip is in line with the lower tip. So to do that, all I'm doing is I'm finding the center of the back of my bow. This is the back of my bow. If you look at the bow, it generally has a general reflex to it, which is really nice. This would be the back, and then this would be the belly. And if you could see, if I'm in the camera or not, this bow has a general reflex to the bow, which is nice. So I'll add to the shooting quality of the bow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a pencil first. Find a pencil here. If I can. Alright, that should work. And what I'm going to do is, I think roughly the center of my bow. Might as well get the tape measure out too. Do this official here. Alright, so I got my tape, I got my pencil. I'm almost ready to go. So, I'm going to generally find the halfway point of this bow. I've got a piece of bark cordage here I'm using as a tape measure. So there, I found the end of the bow. Put that in half. Okay. So right about here is center of my bow, and that's about right. That's where I thought it was. So we'll mark that center. Okay. There's a big honking knot right there, and basically that knot probably goes real deep. And if I were to cut, I'm probably gonna have to cut this down so I can fit my hand around it. I don't want to really hurt the integrity of the bow. I wasn't planning on having the handle bent at all to make a traditional like D-bow style. I was kind of leaving it this thick. But if I need to get more draw length out of the bow, that's an option. I could get the handle bending too. But I don't. What I'm thinking is it's not really going to work because of this knot, and it's already compromised there a little bit. So I don't want to thin out the handle at all. I want to leave it how it is, but I want to kind of round this knot off if I can eventually. But anyway, I got the center of my bow marked. Now I want to find the center of the tip in relation to the center of the handle. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the natural growth, the grain. I'm going to draw it on here just so you can see what I'm talking about. If I could see here, I'm going to follow that center mark. I'm going to follow the natural grain, and this should be the highest part on the back of the bow, the crown. This should be the dead center of that, if I'm following this right. Okay, so I don't know how I could see that. So there's my center mark running through my bow. I just followed the grain. So now I know exactly where the center of my tip is going to be in relation to the center of the handle. I want everything to be in line to get a really efficient bow. I don't want, you know, the tip on the lower limb to be over there. The tip, I want everything in line. So that should be the highest part on the back of this bow, and it should be centered with that handle. So just so you can see what's going through my mind, I'll give you a visual. The tip would be, I don't know how well this is picking up. If I fade this, yeah, you probably can't see that at all. That kind of gives you an idea of, there's the tip, the fade. I can see it a little better. Now I'm just going to go down to this end, find the center of my handle, trace the grain. My pencil holds up. This limb snakes a little bit. Okay, so there's the center line. I'm really doing this just so you can kind of see what's going through my mind here. This will give me a good visual too, so get another pencil here. That one broke. Alright, that's a good pencil. So there, now that's the center of our tip. Should be in line with the center of the handle and the center of that tip. And all I did was follow the grain on the back of the bow. And the tips are close to being in line. That tip still bows out just a little bit to the left like before. It's not a lot. It's very little. I probably will leave it because it's hardly anything. So basically, this is what I'll probably go to the, that's basically what you're looking at for the tips. I'm just drawing that in so you can see it. Okay. I'm going to the outside of that knot. I don't want to cut through that knot. I want to leave that knot in there. I'll go around it. And the rest is just going to be the natural width of the stick. So, all I have to do is remove wood down to those marks with the hand axe. So that sounds really easy. See how it works. Alright, so for the sake of keeping me kind of seeing what's happening while I'm chopping, I drew the same thing on the belly, which should be the exact opposite of the back. And now I'm going to remove wood from the side to thin out the tip so it gets that shape, that profile. And I'm going to just try some hand axes here. And I'll spare, I'll do it a little while and show you how far I'm getting, but it takes a while. I've already done this to a piece of ironwood in the past, and I got about 10 hours into the whole project before the bow broke. But these are effective, but it just takes a while. And an adze would be real quick to chop this out, but I'm trying to keep it simple. Let me give you an idea how this is going to work. I'll put this on a piece of wood so you're not... Oh, my rotten log's falling apart. I really like how hard this wood seems. I mean, I know elm's tough. I've tried splitting it for firewood, and geez, I know a lot of people don't like splitting it. So if this project's going to be a bear, I might decide an adze is a good tool. I have a nice bit I made up, but I just didn't make a handle for it yet. See, I'm just going to keep removing wood, and I don't want to drag this on and on, so I'll probably do a lot of this wood removal, get the tips out, and I'll show you where I'm at, and leave the video at that, and then I'll pick up from there. Once I get the tips, it's just a matter of tillering, so that'll be a different video. Alright guys, so I'm just going to get down to business here. Put this on a good log. Hopefully you can see that. A hand chopper thingy. I'm going to go to town. Ouch. Alright, so that wasn't bad. That's actually chopping really good. Right there on the end it was pretty dried out, I bet, from the cut, so it was a little weaker, but that's actually working pretty good. Alright, so that's not too bad. That's only been about 10 minutes. And I've already thinned that considerably. Around here at the funny edge where it was cut off, the wood's compromised. It's dried out and it's all cracky, so I'll probably lose a little bit in there. But ideally, you want your tips as thin as possible. And I just got to get rid of these rough tool marks from the chopper, shave that off somehow, and that'll be thin enough. But thin tips mean for a faster bow in an ideal world, but I'm dealing with a stick here, so that's close to the finished thickness. I just have to do it on this side. This side is thinner, so it won't take as much. Alright guys, so I have this nice little draw knife type tool. It's really nice. I don't want to ruin it yet, so a really good like planing tool to take out these harsh marks, and the tiller if you wanted to. You can make a really quick one. This is just a split sapling, and I've used this a lot in the past and it works really good. I usually just take a flake. I usually bevel the edge one way. I wrap it in this buckskin. It helps from my lashing from getting cut. Put the whole thing in my handle like that. And I have this is a really strong cordage I made a long time ago out of a flower leaf. I don't know what kind it was. I just wrapped this handle up nice and tight and crisscross around it. That'll hold the flake in from popping out the back. Crisscross again. I usually just tie it off real quick. That. Now, as long as it stays in there, and the force of drawing it towards you kind of pushes it in, it can make a nice little planer type. I'll see if you could. I gotta get in a position where I can actually do this. I have to kind of use my feet as a vise, but this should help kind of start to clean this up. It just works, it shaves it real nice. Oh, popped out. I'll have to get that back in. As this thing dulls, you can just keep retouching, but it works really good. And it's That way I don't have to abuse my nice one. And you can keep swapping these out real quick. So that already smoothed it out a lot. So I'll work on that for a little while. Seems the hardest part about this is not having like a couple other hands, because you got to kind of hold it in your feet. You see, that's thinning those tips out. Hopefully I'm in the camera. And I have to kind of chop some of this off because this is all goofy, dried out wood. So I'll probably just chop that. That's close to the finished thickness of the tip. Over here I can do a little bit more. It works pretty good. Alright, here's another tool I use a lot. It's kind of goofy looking, almost like a blade core gone really bad, but it's got some really cool break-offs on it, so I can hold this in hand and it works like a miniature planer smoother thing. See, in no time, that's that just blasting the wood off. I'm not used to this. I mean, I did this whole project before on ironwood, and it was like multiplying the time by a bazillion, as the wood's just so hard. So all I'm going to really do now, these tips are plenty thin. You always want to give yourself extra. You don't want to cut down your lines. You want to give yourself wiggle room all the time. Alright, so what I'm doing now is I'm thinning the tip. We made the shape of the tip, but I kind of want to thin it down and get it close to the finished thickness so I could cut in my my nocks for my string. I'm just back to my planing type tool. And I'm about 25-30 minutes into working time now into this bow. And I'm getting pretty far today, so I'm real happy. So I'm just going to keep thinning this out. Like I said, the hardest part is holding on to this thing. You could chop this too, but this is working pretty good. And I don't have an adze with me. The adze would be real quick. You could just chop it down to thickness for bulk removal. But this is working pretty good. Alright, just so this video doesn't get any longer, I'm going to continue to thin down the belly of this bow to get the tip down to the close to the finished thickness on both sides. That way I could cut in my string nocks. And all I'm going to do for that is somewhere in my bag here I have my jaw saw. I use that a lot. I use this on my ironwood project. It dulled the teeth pretty good, so but it's still holding up. This deer had good dental hygiene or something. So all I'm going to do is, see, this area of the wood is really dried out, frayed from where I chopped it. So I want to come down a ways because I'm going to cut that off eventually. So this is just to give you a guide because I'm going to do the rest of this off film, I think. So I'll come down a ways. Imagine that's cut. I'm just going to it's tough trying to do this in the camera, but and get that groove started. Oops. The old jaw saw is a good friend of mine. So that gives you a rough idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut in the string nock. I'll make it nice and clean. Probably use a flint flake to fine tune it. And I'll probably carry that down at the, just like a bowstring, the nocks. So I'll do that off camera so I could upload this video. But it's going to be the same procedure. I'm going to thin down the tip, cut in the nocks, and then we'll be ready for tillering on the next video. That's where we'll pick up. But got pretty far today.